The next alien on the list, the engineer, the chief Prometheans, the guys on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I like them. I like their design. I like their purpose. I like that they don't give a fuck about the humans.
Yeah.
I like them overall, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about them?
They look like giant Vin Diesels.
Damn straight.
I like them.
Cinema.
I like the engineers. They're a cool addition to the alien universe.
Mm-hmm.
It's some people might not be a fan of that whole like they're the creators of like everything pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it. I think it's an interesting idea, and I like that they are essentially like humanoids. Like they look exactly like humans do, except their suits that they're wearing are like morphed into their skin, and they're this evolved version of what we know humans to be.
Right.
They're just so unique, so different, and such like a welcoming entry to the alien lore.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like it's just so interesting, and I love it. It adds a whole new layer, to explore with the alien universe.
Absolutely.
Because they could have easily just done the whole, oh, yeah, we don't know what the xenomorphs are.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, yeah, the mystery is interesting, and I like it, and I don't like that Covenant explains too much about it. But the engineers added a layer to where, they're explaining things more, but there's still that mystery of just, what the fuck are these things?
Mm-hmm.
And it's still that level of terror.
And then Covenant just snuffed it.
Yeah, Covenant snuffed it.
Yeah. But I still love the engineers' existence. I do once again agree that the lore welcomes these engineers with open arms. A lot of people don't believe that. I do.
Yeah.
That being said, Prometheus isn't my favorite movie. Absolutely not. Not even close.
No.
It's my fourth favorite. My list is
Still
Alien.
solid.
Yeah, still solid, right? It's okay. Yeah. For me, it's Alien, Aliens, Alien Romulus, and Prometheus.
Yeah.
So Prometheus, I enjoyed to a degree, and I enjoyed the engineers.
Mm-hmm.
Where would I put it on the list, though? See, it's hard for me to put it next to a queen. It just is.
It is, yeah.
And then you also
have to keep in mind the engineer is, has a big presence, but is not in the movie that long.
Mm-hmm.
In Prometheus.
It's really cool design-wise,
Yes.
But you also have to think about these engineers. They let an android onto their planet to decimate the entirety of their population. So they're not that fucking smart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
But we also do we know for sure that those were the last engineers?
I mean, that's what the movie was going.
So.
That was the movie was going for. Is like I decimated the entire race out of spite.
Yeah. Because it is also. So you have the ones from Prometheus that were on that ship.
Mm-hmm.
You have the planet that David went to where he decimated all of them. And then you have the jockey from the original, the OG, on that ship where they found the facehugger.
Mm-hmm.
Which that's assumed to be one of the engineers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the engineers.
So there could be others out there, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a good idea to just bring up well, it could be this, so let's build a narrative in that direction. It's like, wait, nothing is ever confirmed, nothing is ever brought up in the films. Yeah. Maybe there's a whole comic. Oh, actually, no, I don't know. I don't give a shit. We're talking about the movies. Right?
Yeah,
that's it.
That's why I can never talk about Star Wars anymore,
bro. Because people are like, oh, actually, in the comics, I don't care. I ain't read them, dog.
Actually, in the comics, you can take the comic, roll it up, and shove it up your ass.
Goddamn right. Now, okay, hold on. I'm sure the comics are fun, but at the end of the day, like if you look at the prequel movies, and you see like all the Jedis that literally have almost no screen time, like Kit Fisto and all that. Oh, but actually these characters are so good and well established. Their deaths are really tragic. It's like, dude, they're just random aliens to me because I've seen the movies. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
The comics can be cool. I've seen some panels of like the Darth Vader solo comic series where he's hunting Jedi. That's pretty cool shit.
And Star Wars: The Clone Wars animated show, love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's different, when you're talking about the lore of films, especially as us, we're film fans, not really comic readers. If we say something like, oh, it could be this, it could be that, and we don't know for sure, and then you say, oh, it's actually this, they confirmed it in a comic, I don't really care. As long as if they say it in a movie, it's fact. In a comic, it's a bit harder because comics get retconned all the time and they get rebooted.
Yeah, very much so. Elsewhere stories, spin-offs. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, look at Star Wars Legends. When Disney bought Star Wars, they basically took all the books and everything surrounding Star Wars and just said not canon anymore. So we didn't know Boba Fett was alive until his show came out on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Even though the books said that he was alive the whole time, and people have known that for years. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing with
just how
other media. We're just talking about the movies right now.
That being said, if there is a comic, please leave the title and the premise in the comment section, please and thank you. I'd love to read that.
I'll take a synopsis for sure.
Yeah. I definitely want to see it. It's just at the end of the day, we're not considering it for this list for the films. We're not considering it as canon because at the end of the day, these comics are interchangeable. It's the truth. So yeah,
but I do want to see more of the Engineers outside of Prometheus.
Absolutely.
I know we're not going to get Ridley Scott's third prequel, which honestly I'm fine if we don't get it. But I would like to see some kind of project explore more with the Engineers and what they were doing and what they wanted to do. Because it just seemed like they created humans, and then as soon as the humans found them, they're like, "Get the fuck out of my face!
Yeah,
who are you? What are you doing here?"
That's real though, man. It's just at the end of the day, like the Engineers were so uninterested in the human race that just made them infinitely more interesting. And then Covenant just said "fuck you," and got rid of them immediately. I mentioned this once in the tier list video. I'll bring it up now. 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 When it comes to the Engineers and Prometheus and Covenant, what should have happened was that there should have been a film in between where Shaw and David, my bad, David and Shaw went over to that alien planet and they found a way to either communicate or, they found a way to get into the culture. Maybe this engineer was just a rogue, whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. They don't know entirely, and so they're constantly having to look into them. Maybe they're following another alien ship and, seeing what they're doing. Something like that. Build up a story for a second film, right? And we could break it down, and go even further into that film, but let's just have something in between Prometheus and Covenant. And then at the end of the film, Shaw still wants to know more, or Shaw believes in the Engineers. David has already made up his mind and said fuck the Engineers. Then betrays Shaw at the end of the film, makes you really feel it because you think David's actually helpful and all that. But then eventually he's like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm gonna go my own way, and kills off Shaw, and then kills all of the Prometheans because he is now the creator. He wants to play God. These Prometheans are imperfect, and they let their motives and their emotions reign over their judgment. I am the perfect organism. I am the creator. So David sees that as a logistical capability, kills all of the Prometheans, and betrays Elizabeth Shaw so she can become the first neomorph. It would have been a great ending to a second film between that and Covenant. And then when Covenant came around, don't even tell it from the person's perspective. Tell it from David's perspective. Now he's just experimenting on passerbys, and this would be one of them. And then it would justify the humans being so stupid because it's from David's perspective, But it wasn't. It was told from the human's perspective, and it was rushed, and the death of all the Prometheans, our creators, was told in a flashback. So, yeah. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I really wish we got more Engineers. I wish there was a second film in between Prometheus and Covenant, but we never got that. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I think it would have been interesting if, we learned that the engineer from Prometheus was maybe exiled from that planet.
That's what I'm saying.
And that it wasn't exactly a good, because maybe they find other engineers and maybe they welcome Shaw and David. But then the one from Prometheus was like, I'm going to murder all of you guys.
Because exactly. It would have been like, oh, that wasn't a good representation of our kind. That kind of thing. Yeah. But eventually, David sees that they're all that way and that they can all be tainted by emotion, while David is an android. And there's no such thing as emotion. His judgment will be right and will be fair no matter what. You know what I mean? So eventually he betrays all of them and says, I don't need you, and takes out the entirety of the race at the end of a second film. That would have been a better narrative than just rushing everything in Covenant. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So yeah. Prometheans. What are we thinking? I don't want to put it next...
I was going to say a high B.
Yeah, I'm really thinking a high B. I think the highest B. Yeah, I'm being honest. The highest B, I'd say Neomorph over the whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's it. The trilobite, indeed. It's like a solid alien. I love them. I just wish They did more with them. Damn it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just that goes back to that talk of wasted potential.
No balls.
With both movies, really, Covenant and Prometheus.
Definitely.
But Prometheus is the more interesting one of the two.
Because of its initial premise and the idea. I definitely enjoy that more, but my suspension of disbelief was ruined by the second act. You know? And then you add in the fact that, like, at the end of the day, these characters are stupid. We're not really meant to attach to them. And then you also have, como se dice, that being said, there's some great cinematography, which I enjoy. But you also add in the fact that these characters, not only are they uninteresting, but they're just downright stupid. You know, I hate that fact is that you got to have stupid characters to make your story run. That's dumb. I said, the first couple Aliens didn't have that issue. And that's what
Alien. Signs of a bad horror movie.
That's really what it is. It's just like when you lean too much on contrivance, you lean too much on humans making dumb decisions. That's when your movie starts falling apart for me. You know, and that's what this did. I just wish that it found new, more interesting ways to introduce the story. Prometheus could have been better, but it just wasn't as good as the first, as Alien 1, 2, and Romulus. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, people are going to disagree, and I hear you. You know, I want you to leave your opinions down in the comments respectfully, you filthy animals. Keep it respectful. And at the end of the day, I'm open-minded, would love to have a debate about it. But right now, Promethean at B tier, I think, is a solid selection.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's cool, like, even just talking about it, because it's like when you look at this tier list as a whole and you see all the different creatures, is when, like, it just hit me how expansive the alien lore is. And how many different kinds of creatures there are and how they all fit in, like, different puzzle pieces. It's interesting.
It's great. It's all encompassing. It's such a rich world with such rich lore, you know, and I just really wish that it got more love when it came to that Ridley Scott trilogy. I wish somebody could tell him no. You know?
Yeah, right.
And that's the main thing, is I wish somebody could have told them no with a couple of those films, because they got great bones, great cinematography, and some really cool fucking ideas, but then you put them in execution and it's just a mishmash of poor characters, poor writing, way too much leaning on contrivance. You know, I love the theme of meeting our creators and being intimidated by them at first, but braving our fears and courage. And then eventually, when we do meet our creators, they don't care about us and see us as insignificant. So insignificant, in fact, that they would crush us under their boot heel rather than communicate with us. That is such an interesting concept. How do you make that movie a 6 out of 10? You know what I mean?
Fumble the bag.
Yeah, hard. It is what it is. And then the sequel, you don't know what you want, so you just go straight to the introduction of the xenomorph, which the introduction of the xenomorph should have been the end of the third film. That's it.
Yeah.
But instead, it was at the end of a rushed 2 films.
And it's not even like they wrote themselves into a corner with the end of Prometheus. That ending was so open.
It was great!
You could have gone anywhere.
Absolutely.
You literally could have gone anywhere. You could have gone with a more traditional alien movie now that you introduced the Deacon. You know, again, like I mentioned earlier, probably Wayland sent more people onto that planet to see what the fuck happened, because we haven't heard from anybody. And then, you know, you mentioned Shaw and David, and you can continue that story and learning more about the engineers and seeing how they all fit into everything.
Probably somebody related to Shaw have 2 different perspectives. Somebody who's related to Shaw or whoever, right, and is going there to check things out, but while they're checking things out, you can cut back to this other perspective where they're trying to talk about the Prometheans. Hell, maybe the Prometheans want to blow up that fucking planet that Shaw's family currently on. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh shit, all that alien juice, we can't let that get into the wrong hands. Something like that. I don't fucking know. You know, but do something interesting. Covenant was just a complete deviation of what Prometheus was trying to build up, period. All right?
I do think that the initial premise or setup for Covenant was more of a studio thing, because I can see after Prometheus, it's like, oh, people want xenomorphs.
Absolutely.
People want it to feel more like a traditional alien movie than what we got. So I can see with Covenant, it's okay, we go back to a crew on a space station, you know, looking for something, and then they land on this planet and come across the alien. Which is crazy, because the film
it's crazy because the film made $403 million on a budget of $130 million.
Yeah.
You know, like, just follow the process, guys. The studios have no balls. I don't blame 100% on Ridley Scott. I blame some of it, but I don't blame 100% on Ridley Scott. I blame their studio. No balls.
For sure, yeah. Because, I mean, it was risky move with Prometheus saying, hey, let's make an alien movie without the aliens.
And I love that factor of it. But as the film as a whole, it hits a 6 out of 10 because of all the negatives. But I love that idea. I love that factor. It has balls, you know. I just wish there was more. That's it.
Yeah, they could have definitely a trilogy surrounding Prometheus could have been really, really fucking cool.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, we never received that.
Yeah, we still have no clue what the end goal was because Covenant was so rushed.
Yeah, and Covenant did not do well critically. I think it made some budget back, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think solely because of the alien name.
Yeah. But it made Romulus's job harder, I tell you what. That's it.
You're not wrong with that, but Romulus did a pretty solid job. It's that back to basics sequel that I think
absolutely. It both box office and everything. But I'm saying is like if the outcry of fans saying this is an amazing film, if it was just an okay film, then it would have been underperformed. But the fact that it was like fucking 9s, 10s in that fucking theater, you know, as people's like, okay, Alien is back, roger that, you know?
Yeah.
That's it. But yeah, that's what I have for the Engineer. I love him.
Yeah.
Wish he was better.
Yeah,
wish he was utilized better. That's it.
Great design.
I have to say B, because he's a really cool fucking thing, but you got to think about everything that was used. Everything he was surrounded by. I got to put him at a B. It is what it is. And it's so painful putting him at B. I want him in A. But the Queen is at A. And he's nowhere near the Queen.
Yeah. It's when you put the two together, you're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Come on now. You know.